And we made it to salary week. Some will say at what cost, but I mean, we're here and we are live on another edition of the Gliders. Salary week is one of the best weeks for me as an adult. I don't like capitalism, and one of the reasons I'm always working is because I'm always looking forward to the final week in every month. And we're here, guys. A round of applause for Jesus. We survived. We survived. We are here again. Anyways, we're back. It's still Euphoria, back to bring you another hot edition of the Gliders. And as usual, our new style of starting the show is always talking about our week in focus. That's the week of everyone on the team. And we're going to start with a man who was not on the team last week due to national team call-up. but he's back today, and of course he's making a return on the show. That will be the first time he'll be missing on the show since we began, and I mean that's a record for him. I mean, he went two seasons straight without missing a game since Aspilicueta. And he's back today. How are you, Timothy? How are you? How was your week? What were you up to sporting wise?
Fine, covering the Club World Cup, staying on.
Covering it? You went to the US? Is that why we didn't see you?
I know I'm covering it from here. I'm covering it here in Nigeria. It's been interesting, and after watching the first round of games, I watched 9 games in 16 from the first round, and I was prompted to write an article. I wrote it, and it's on my page on Twitter. Anybody that wants to read it, I was like, "Oh, what's the Club World Cup has taught us?" And the summary of in that article, when I started, I said, "Oh, there was no picture in the article." I said, "This is not a article for picture." It was just me pouring out my emotions, talking about what I have seen and everything. There was no place of maybe trying to be
pause letter to the correct.
So it was like basically an emotional article, and what it was summary of was, I mean, we are too used to the European football scene, and I saw that okay, there is football everywhere. Football in Brazil is called football. Football in Austria is football. Football in Africa. South America is football. Football in Africa is football. Because we are too used to watching Europe, we kind of think that this is where football only exists. But no, that's not the case for me. So, but it's been interesting. And the second one I've seen, I think I saw in the second one I saw 7 games. So it's total of 16 in 32.
No, you give us everything you've seen later on the show.
So that's basically my week.
Awesome.
And then trying to recover from little sickness actually.
Okay, I hope you're feeling good now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We missed you last week. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a Yoruba man. We missed you last week, and we're glad to have you back on the show. Talk about Yoruba men. We have the Yoruba demon in the house. He's already smiling.
Those people like she's saying Yoruba.
You answered that question. Because how are you doing? How's your week sports wise?
It went well. I feel like you even looked forward to the final week of the month for salary. I started planning for salary since like 15. I'm already looking forward to salary week from the first week of the month. But yeah, it's really that crazy, yeah. Views of all firstborn, first grandchild, oh YOLO. Abuse choke, I said. But then yeah, it's good to be back. It was a very long week for me. Very cool week actually. Then sporting wise, Club World Cup, an unsuccessful 8 watch during the week. Porto chopped my eye. I mean, those guys was so annoying. I watched that game. I was at my friend's place, and then we have different teams that we hate watch. So on the day Madrid were playing, it's watching Madrid. I was like, they watch Madrid game. I said, no, I don't hate watch. So the next time it was me that reminded, Inter Miami they play. This is my own hate watch. So I was watching, and then it was unsuccessful. But besides that, sporting wise, I was also at a get together for ex Super Eagles legends on Friday. A brand, Joff Nigeria, hosted them, and I've had some form of history with them. So they hosted the likes of Waidi Akoni, the likes of Erin Wosu, and all of the big names before I was even born. Ikpaye, all of these big names. I think there's also Okpara somewhere in there, and all of these big names. So yeah, that was on Friday, and then on Sunday was also the True Second Foundation Charity game that brought a lot of stars across football and entertainment. And yeah, that's basically how my week was sporting wise. So it was really nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I didn't lie. I'm not a liar, guys. She's trying to solve my reputation. Joy has always had a problem with Yoruba men. Always. We are going to ask her what happened in the past life. She's going to give us history.
For the fact a lot of people confuse her as a Yoruba girl, so
actually,
She grew up in Ibadan also.
Well, that's the voice of Emmanuel. Emmanuel, how was your week sports-wise? I know what happened on the final day of the week. It's not the final day, first day of the new week, but I mean that's how because Monday is a new week work-wise. So yes, I count that as the final day of your week. So how was your week? I know your weekend was very tedious, but how was your week?
Yeah, the week was good. I mean, I was chilled for most of the weekday, except the weekend.
God, when?
Yeah, it was.
MPFM money too sweet.
They go on break.
But the weekend was good. My immediate younger sister was her birthday over the weekend, so the house was bubbling. It was.
You're supposed off your mic.
So it was, the house was lively, and it wasn't Children's Day, but there was a children's football fest at the refurbished Maracana Stadium. I mean, Natalie Dido and Wilfred Ndidi. We know what affiliations they've got. So Wilfred Ndidi was in Maracana and Ajegule with some of his friends, the fellow Super Eagles teammates, Boniface or Seaman. I mean, typical Ajegule teams now. Area boys don't full everywhere. They don't mount. They don't stay already. They wait. For guys, it was really crowded. But I mean, good to see. Those guys in Ajegule with the kids, putting smile on the kids' faces and all that. So it was wonderful. Then, I mean, what happened on the first day of the weekend, of the week rather, like you said. So yeah.
So awesome. That was the recap for the guys. As for me, my week, Monday I was here, obviously. Tuesday, I can't remember. Wednesday. Tuesday. Let's go. I will. Anyways, I know I covered archery this week. It was last week I covered squash. I covered archery this week.
Covered archery, but you can't still shoot your shot.
They play. make I raise you on top set. We don't do that here. And then Saturday, I was working remotely for the games. We're going to touch light on that, talking about the charity games. I went across Nigeria from Super Eagles point of view. I covered it remotely, but I was still working at Archer at Oniko. And then Sunday, yesterday, was that game, the celebrity charity match organized by the Ekong Foundation that was hosted yesterday. Myself and Emmanuel on commentary. Mikolo was downstairs for BTS and of course interviews. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of chaos also, because I mean there's no Super Eagles, or there's no football that involves Super Eagles gathering at a venue that there's not going to be, you understand, men I want the mounts. So yes, all of that was how we spent our weekend, and that will lead us to the first conversation of the day, talking about the charity events that was going around every part of the country, because I understood that Chukwueze had his own right there in Umahia in Abia State, and that was the 4th edition of that particular one. Now this brings me to the question I'll be talking to the Sebastian on that. We saw Chukwueze do that this weekend. We saw Ndidi and friends do that theirs at Maracana on Saturday. We saw Ekong and friends and foundation do theirs on Sunday. Now it's like the thing about Super Eagles players, it looks like a thing from last year. We witnessed some the tail end of last year. October was Ekong, December was Chukwueze and Ndidi, because Ndidi did one at Maracana too during the Christmas season, and now we have him doing another, Ekong doing another in the middle of the year. What does this tell you? Do you see, because growing up, I think the only one I used to remember was that of the Kanu Foundation. So what is the thing about charity and the Super Eagles right now? Is there any wave that is going on right now that we are not aware of, that you want to kind of give us light on? I mean the viewers at home.
I mean, it's good to see these players involved in this sort of events, because I mean they are well, should I say, celebrated. They're more like
idolize,
whenever they try to go back to their roots to do such events. And it's something we've been seeing for a couple of years now, not just Super Eagles players. I mean, shout out to every sports person, every footballer who's been doing this. So because let's not just streamline it to just Super Eagles players, because I know a couple of others too who do similar. They're not like Super Eagles, they are Nigerian footballers, but not like core Super Eagles players as well, doing this back at their roots as well. So it's good to see. And when it comes to football, is a sort of of sports that I don't know, it's just extraordinary. It brings people together. The togetherness that football brings when it comes to situations like this. And I mean, charity, people are struggling as much as we want to say things are not happening, but people are struggling in the country, and giving back is one way you can always support, not just as an individual, but also support your local teams, go back to your roots and support. So it's good to see. And for Trist Ekong, I mean, he's gained light in the last 12 to
15 years.
15 months he's been doing, because the foundation is just less than 3 years. So it's just 2 years. This is the second edition of the charity football match. And for Ekong to pull the personalities he pulled tells you the kind of person he is, not just in the football world but also in the entertainment industry. We had comedians, we had musicians, artists, in the stadium as well. Also administrators as well. Sheodiko, the chairman of the Malam Sheodiko, the chairman of the National Sports Commission, was also there to grace the occasion. We had the governor of the state as well, at the Ekong Stadium. So this is something that brings people together. And when it comes to charity, you always want to give back. Footballers are people that you see them in privileged positions to always do things like this as well. So it might not just be necessarily through a football event, it might just be in your own way. You want to help civil servants, you want to help those struggling on the streets, you just have your own way of doing things. So it's something we want to see, and I love to see them doing this more, and long may it continue. I just want to see this go on and on for a long time.
I think to also add to what Emmanuel said, it takes a community to also raise somebody. And I feel like for footballers, for those that have been in the football space, you understand. I read a book one time that probably only one person makes it pro from 800 grassroots footballers. So it takes a community. You cannot do it alone. For example, these guys are the teammates that they grew up together, that they saw struggling, teammates that help you in your time of need. Not just teammates, there's also coaches, there's also people, probably just fans. I've seen people that
you might not be the best amongst your peers.
I mean, I said, I was working remotely.
Fans that also like follow your career all through.
Yes.
And then they are there, you're playing Americana today, they are there to support you. You're playing at Kenya, you're playing at this thing.
Yes.
So it's only right that once you get to that professional position that everybody's looking forward to, the least you can do is to try to help people. Help your former teammates, help the less privileged people, kids as well that look up to you, because now you're a symbol of hope. You're not representing just yourself, you're representing the nation, you're representing 800 other grassroots footballers that may not make it to pro. So you have to lay the foundation, lay the marker, and say, you know what, we have to help each other. And you understand. So, and it's not only happening here, there are also some low-key ones, like Emmanuel said. Ahmed Musa does a lot of that in the north. We also
he did something like that.
I think we also saw Sadiq Umar. Sadiq Umar also has like something that
I just want to mention him so I don't miss out anybody. But
it's very like big on philanthropy when it comes to the northern side of things. So it's really great. I like people that take responsibility, that see themselves in that kind of position. You don't just have to lavish, you have to also do things back. Neymar, I watched Neymar's documentary sometime last year. Neymar employs over 100 people in his agency, and then he has a foundation back in Brazil. We've also seen other footballers go to do the same kind of thing. So your wealth is not, you have more than enough. As a footballer, you already have more than enough. The least you can do is try to give back, and then it's really great when you see footballers take responsibility. It shows that they've been well brought up. Even Trustekon didn't grow up in Nigeria. He was born a mixed person, but the way he's been able to connect, he understands what that armband means. And then since 2023 AFCON, my respect for him also like grew 1,000-fold, playing through injury, carrying along the boys, stepping into his role as a leader, meeting up with the governor of the state, doing so many things, and then this foundation. So this is what we want to see, not just the old partying, clubbing, and all that. That is also nice for fun, but also you have to also understand that you are also a symbol for a lot of people, and you have to play that part as well.
Definitely, seeing them play that part. The players talking about Ekong, the foundation was established in October 2024. I remember that that happened to be during the window, the Super Eagles window for that time, and yes, we had that foundation established. And talking about connecting, Ekong is someone who knows how to connect with people. Before the foundation was officially opened, it was going around different parts of Akwa Ibom State, I beg your pardon, going to meet traditional fathers, going to meet different people to make sure that he pays respect to who respect is due. And officially it was launched in October 2024. We also had a charity game in Uyo to also mark the launch of that one. And some of the players who played in that charity game in Uyo are also present yesterday, including one who scored in back-to-back games. Talking about Odumodu Black, scored in the previous one, Big Kala.
He scored and went back to Twitter to start. I was wondering what's happening. Maybe this guy will play much. No.
So Odumodu was like warming up on the touchline. There's a video of Odumodu on my page that he was warming up, and people were like just at the back saying, why is strong face like this? I don't know, say what they have for Twitter. Why don't use that flex? They warm up. Do you understand? Like he just went in, scored, and just substituted himself, and like, you know what?
That particular one, him actually getting substituted was because I heard from the other players that he was sick. But he just wanted to pay his respect to Trus Ekong, and that was why he had already promised he was going to play. He was there, he had already performed at halftime, and he just said, okay, let him just come in, play a few minutes, and then he gets up. And thankfully, it's a very nice goal with DJ Neptune in goal for the other side as well. So we had yesterday, if you missed it, there was Team Ijabo, coached by the coach of Remo Stars, the title-winning coach of Remo Stars. I like to put that now because that is what he is, Coach Daniel Gomodede, called Ijabo. So it was Team Ijavo versus Team Eguavon, hosted or that's coached by the former Super Eagles legend, coach, and of course currently technical director of the Super Eagles right now. I'm talking about, he was also captain at some point. Yes, Cerezo. That's Austin Eguavon. So it was Team Ijabo versus Team Eguavon. If you missed that, Team Ijabo defeated Team Eguavon by 6-5. We had 11 goals in regulation time, which was about 80 minutes, and then we had a penalty shootout. Shootout, of course, because it was not, like I said, 80 minutes of football, because it is not a conventional football game. And then Team Eguavon were able to defeat Team Ijabol in that one by 4-2, the shootout. Some of the really brilliant goals we saw yesterday were some what's his name? That Ali Misikiru, who came on from the bench, scored a brace to take Team Ijabol, who were trailing by a lone goal, to 2
he had
goals.
to do it for his coach.
I mean, what's that? What's that?
You know, he's also out of contract soon. They say, please consider me. Consider my contract,
I
please.
if you are seeing this, Nicolo is one that is cooking this.
I do with you.
Anyways, that was how that one went, and of course it was so much fun. I'm looking forward to other players also imitate, and not just the players actually who are actually doing it. There are some who are doing so much by supporting, and that is another angle to it. We saw a lot of Super Eagles players at different games over the weekend. Raphael Onyedika, Frank
Tolu was one during the week.
He was
one on Saturday.
He was one on Saturday. He was on yesterday. He was on Team Ijabo yesterday.
Yeah, so I think Odion Igalo also had one in Abuja during the week. And
he was on the pitch yesterday. So the collaboration among players, ex-players, we saw Joseph Yobo, we saw Obafemi Martins, Obago, we saw all of these players, Ahmed Musa, who has not lost his space, by the way. So much fun for us on the commentary box.
I feel like maybe yesterday people that probably tried to query his inclusion in that squad that went to the Unity Cup see that the MPFL is not mean.
Actually,
it's not a retirement home. He's playing against people that also want to make a name every week. Even the goal that Yenacho scored yesterday, one of the very good assists. He had 2 men coming to slide him. That's for Ahmed Musa.
I mean, the first goal was also the one that considered that, or made sure they considered that penalty. That's Tim Green, and ensured that Boniface scored the first goal of the game. Definitely. And talking about pace, I'm still trying to give props to Ahmed Musa here, because at the end of the day, we saw players like I'm talking about age. He's aging is 32, and when certain players age, they lose certain abilities. We saw some of that with Obafemi Martins, whose pace. I mean, those runs Like back in the days,
PS1,
PS1,
There was
PS2.
one true ball, like
So those
he
two
couldn't
man,
get
you
there. I'm
couldn't
like,
I think
Oh,
there was even a shot from like very close that he puts in the he rattled the bar
yeah.
from like close range, and somebody was like, how Obago go lose? I say, you know how
but we've spoken much about the actual footballers. Let's talk about the other people. Like
Exactly.
I was impressed with the chairman of the sports commission.
Oh,
Like,
actually,
he's got
yeah,
great
touches. He
touches.
did. We saw those touches there. It was also one of those.
I think Yemoli also did well.
Yeah.
Yemoli also tried.
I mean,
Then the funny ones, brother Shaggy, brother Shaggy,
currently
okay.
trending on Twitter for one particular challenge.
Yeah, brother Shaggy.
And all of that was for the fun of it. And after that, there was a charity dinner and fundraiser in which they were able to raise funds for the foundation. Beautiful, since all over social media, I can catch it all over social media there. You see, they can go to the Ekong Foundation page there to even find other things that we cannot talk about on the show. Talking about patriotism, charity, giving, that will lead us to the next topic. And this one, we are moving away from football and to athletics. And this time around, we are going to talk about the love of Mikolo's life. He has a lot of love of his life, but this particular one is one I know that is dear to him. Dear to me too, because I know I went on a
when
rant.
V replied you, did they put you?
The very funny thing is that Joy just likes to drag me. Before today, there was nothing about love of my life or Favour Ofili. She's saying it as if it has been like that for a while.
You said you are
When?
saying it now.
When?
You've been saying this since yesterday.
So since yesterday,
No,
talk about like say you don't stay around the.
actually, because I know you, you've been my friend for a while. The period where
I've been your
Favour
friend?
yes, you're very foolish. When Favour Ofili had the whole issue at the Olympics right there in Paris last year, a lot of us went on rants and everything on Twitter, and we're talking about the fact about how the AFN were so negligent with the athletes and how it has never stopped and how it doesn't look like it's going to stop. Now, yesterday, the news that we all woke up to was that Favour Ofili has officially committed to switch to Turkey as an athlete, and that's the country she wants to make her adopted country. And then come and see breakdown, meltdown, and everything crash out on sports Twitter from Nigeria. And now the thing is, it looks like it's not a Nigerian thing alone, because Jamaican athletes over the last couple of weeks have also been getting approaches from different countries, and they've been trying to actually switch. Now, Favour Ofili is the latest and made known. Right now, we're not sure if it's confirmed yet, because we don't know when she's initiated the process, because it takes, some of those athletes
The report said as at May 31st, she already filed for it.
She already filed for it as on May 31st, 2025, which means that she'll have to wait for confirmation, and that will also determine.
She's still listed as a Nigerian athlete. The FN is also saying that World Athletics has not reached out to them yet officially yet, and they've not got any official reports or filing from Favour herself. Yeah.
Well, officially she has done it. Well, why they have not recorded it, that is the conversation for another day. Now, right now, we want to talk about the fact that this happened after two different incidents at two different Olympics, consecutive Olympics. The first one being Tokyo 2020, that was hosted in 2021 because of the COVID outbreak, and then in 2024 in Paris, just last year, Favour Ofili missed out on one of the events that she qualified for and was not listed by the National Olympic Committee, and of course the Athletic Federation, and there was the blame throwing, all of that. She missed out on the 100 meters in Paris. Heartbroken, found out on the day she was supposed to race, and right now I think she has had enough. Mikolo, I saw a lot of your tweets concerning this yesterday. I actually went on a breakdown yesterday, because I was saying that at the same time, while I'm happy for her, I feel sad. I feel like there's just a lot you can actually take. There's a lot you can actually take, and where do you think is going to be the breaking point for other athletes? Favour Ofili has gotten her own breaking points. Now, we've seen other athletes who have done it. Some didn't wait as long as Ofili. Where do you think will always be the breaking points for athletes with the way that we treat them in Nigeria?
So for athletics first, there was a time I was watching a Usain Bolt documentary, and then people just feel like those 10 seconds or sub 10 seconds that you run in the final of the 100 meter to make you the Olympic gold champion is all it takes. It says no. You go through the heats, you go through all of that at the Olympics, but the work to get to that point is 4 years. 4 years of waking up every day, running in the morning, doing your gym, making sure that you adapt to your diet, hiring a personal coach, going to branding meetings, meeting up with your investors, and all of those guys are investing into your career. All of these things are supposed to accumulate in a successful show at the biggest level of your competition. Those are two. That's the World Athletics Championship and then the Olympics. The Olympics is supposed to be the highlights of anybody. And for a 22-year-old that should be in the pinnacle of your career, you do not. This is a career that is not long term. Do you understand? You do not know when you are going to peak or whatever form you're going to be. Now to go through all of those kind of work and then to qualify for your first Olympic. And then on the eve of the Olympic, or when you get to the Olympics at Tokyo, that was when you found out that there were some tests, doping tests that they were supposed to have that's missing from what was submitted. So herself and 13 other athletes were then denied performance at Tokyo Olympics. Now this happened and then there was placard, there was embarrassment, there was a lot of things. But then it feels like we are immune to embarrassment in this country. There's no shame. Everybody is very shameless.
And then there's this thing about we can't shame the shameless.
You can't shame the shameless, because after that event, some people eventually switched. There was Annette, Ineka, that switched to the US, and then she became the first ever medal winner for USA in that amateur. That could have been Nigeria. Do you understand? For an athletic country like USA to have their first ever medal in amateur from a Nigerian that just switched some years before shows you how important that athlete was to our rankings.
And we ended up not getting any medal at the Olympics.
Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So this could have been our medal. That could have been our medal. And this did not happen for us, not because we didn't have the talent, but because the people that we are paying with our taxpayers' money, the people that are supposed to represent us, didn't do the right things. So do you know how frustrating it is as an athlete to now believe that, okay, you know what, Favour Ofili, let's try again. I still believe in my country, Nigeria. This is patriotism. I want to give these guys another chance. So you eventually continue training for another 4 years, putting in the same level of work. Now, we have not even spoken about some of the things that she might have lost as a result of Tokyo 2020. Mm-hmm. The partnerships that she could have gotten, the scholarships that she could have gotten, the finance, the investments, because it's very important for these guys to go to meet. I watch podcasts of athletics a lot. I watch the likes of Johan Blake and all of these guys speaking about how hot they are whenever it is championship time. You want to be on the top list of brands like Puma, the likes of Adidas. They are jostling for your contracts. Mm-hmm. Imagine you now sign a deal and then you now go to the Olympics and you're not allowed to perform. Mm-hmm. Do you understand how much financial loss is there? Yeah. Emotional loss is there. I was saying something on my Twitter that I played football school level. There's a final in 2018 that we lost by 3-2. Till date, this is 2025. Sometimes it still comes to my head randomly because I played the game. Do you understand? And I just feel like, what if I just done this? What if I just caught this goal?
You would imagine something where you're supposed to do better.
Do you understand? So now imagine going 8 years of that. Imagining what could have happened. So imagine doing that. Now she came to Paris 2024, and currently Favour has the person that won the race in 2024, that was Juliana Fred. She has 10.72. Sha'Carri Richardson finished in second with 10.87, while Melissa Jefferson finished with 10.92. Favour's personal best in the 100 meter is 10.78, which definitely puts her in the medal table. This is her at 10.78 is a personal world record. That was April 2024. The athletics happened.
That was even.
Do you understand? That was before the Olympics. Now, do you know how betrayed?
So if you put that side by side,
let me bust you guys' brain. I also tweeted this that she performed. She took 6th in the 200 meter. Up until that race, she meets her personal best twice, leading up to the final of the 200 meters. To tell you how ready this girl was, how much anger she had that she was running with. Now imagine getting to the Olympics and now knowing that you were not registered for a tournament that you had a very big chance of medal in at. Do you understand? So that is the annoying thing about this whole thing. Also in that 200 meter race that she took 6th, for all of the persons that eventually completed that, Favour had the fastest 100 meter, the first curve of that game. So imagine going into an 100 meter with that kind of form and that kind of race. Now imagine the psychological part of this. Now we're now moving away from Tokyo. Now imagine after that, after everything, you're trying to heal. Nobody's taking responsibility. Nobody's getting sacked. Nobody's dropping resignation letter for that embarrassment.
I mean, I saw
some months later, you now saw that they got re-elected.
No, I mean,
will you crash out or not?
The whole thing that was happening in Tokyo, because I said we all went on a crash out during Paris 2024 when all of that happened, and then there was something from the Guardian newspaper, by the way, because I don't carry things that are not facts. Now, an official who they anonymously refused to name in the news said something like, if Favour wants to switch, she should switch. That's how lackadaisical, that's how nonchalant, they were towards the whole situation after all of that. And then yesterday, when the whole thing came up, and people were like, people that they re-elected, they already knew that nothing was going to happen.
Nothing is going to shake.
There's no form of accountability. No one is going to hold them responsible, and that happened again. Now, I'll come to Timothy on this one. With everything that Nicola has said, do you think that Favour was wrong to have waited 8 years? Because people are actually blaming her for waiting another 4 years after that happened, because they believe that if the first one happened and you saw your mate switching, you didn't switch, you waited another one. Because I mean, with all of this happening, if she eventually gets to participate in another Olympics, maybe she missed the next one, because I mean, this is 2025, the next one will be in 2028. If the whole process makes her miss the next Olympics, it means she will have to wait till 2032. She will have passed her prime and her peak. Do you think that Favour was late to have made the switch, if she eventually wanted to switch?
Well, I wouldn't say she was late, even though we know it was late, but I wouldn't outrightly say, okay, she was wrong to have waited this long, because I mean, like Mikolo was saying, he said after the first one, maybe she probably felt that, okay, things will get better for the second one, but I mean, it did not happen. And now that she knows that, okay, this is a country, or this is a place where they don't care, nobody's being held accountable and all of those things, then she decided to switch. So I wouldn't say that, oh, she was late or she was wrong to choose this path, because I mean, she didn't know that it was going to be this way. Even from the first one, I'm not sure she knew that, okay, it was going to be this way. Okay, it happened. She would have thought that, okay, this was a mistake. Okay, any mistake could happen to anybody could make mistake. Okay, it could happen. Then she thought that in the second one things would be corrected, but still nothing was done. So it's never too late to actually make a switch. I understand the point of, okay, if everything is delayed and she doesn't get the switch before the next Olympics and all the processes doesn't happen before that next one, it may affect her, but still it's never too late. There's still the world.
I don't think it's late.
Yeah, there's still the world.
I mean, somebody that got affected in the 2021 Tokyo, she participated in Paris 2024. The person I was speaking about in Neka. So I feel like there's also enough time. The one that might be affected is there's supposed to be an athletics championship in September. She's still currently being lined up as a Nigerian athlete, and I feel like she might get affected by that one. But I feel like she should complete the whole process already before 2028. It's a long time.
And just to add to it, there's a 3-year waiting period if you want to switch allegiance, and there's some waiver. So and before the show I was reading the whole thing. So there's a waiver where if there's an administrative negligence or such like a systematic management, that waiver can be given to you, so you don't necessarily have to
follow the
whole 3-year waiting period. So as it stands, and I think she gets that waiver because I mean there's there's evidence mismanagement we've seen from the AFN, hindering our chances from participating in huge athletic events. So I mean it's disturbing to see the talent exodus continues for Nigerian athletes, and we have so many talented athletes who are competing for other countries. She won't be the first, and I dare say she won't be the last, because if this continues to happen,
I mean, this has happened in Sydney.
It's been happening. So
there's been, I think I saw something that the current commissioner of sports in Bayelsa was a wrestler. His name Daniel something right now. Daniel Igali.
That's Bayelsa.
Bayelsa. Yes. I heard that he sought asylum in Canada,
yes.
competed for them, won medals for them, eventually came back, and now he's the Bayelsa.
He was actually the president. Funny thing, he was actually the president of the Wrestling Federation for a while, and that was our best performing years in wrestling, in different competition, Commonwealth, African Games. It was still the commissioner, so he was still the president when last year at the African Games they won medals upon medals at the African Games in Ghana. So sometimes it just shows that there are people who are competent to actually do things, but we have to wait for them to first go out, and then we'll start laying claim. Because I remember at the last Olympics, also we had the girl that was running for Bahrain. We were claiming that she's our own number one.
I think another thing that really annoys me that needs to stop is the character assassination that comes with speaking up in Nigeria.
Yeah.
We're so used to people being cowards that we try to assassinate their character once somebody speaks up. We've seen that with the Super Falcons. We've seen that with the Super Eagles.
We saw that with a person in Paris actually.
Do you understand?
Because what's her name now? Olayinka, Olajide,
Yes.
she's AJ Gold on Twitter. She was talking yesterday when this whole thing happened. She was like, another talent has gone, painful one, but she understands. And then when someone was like, why did Favour do this? Why did she speak up?
She spoke about the allowance,
and then she was like,
and they removed that from the relative.
From
Yeah,
the relative.
yeah,
She
yes.
did not raise. She was supposed to raise. She was on the list before then.
There's a
She
character
tweeted about
association
it.
going about Favour now, saying that she's hard to deal with, she's difficult to work with, and all of that. And if you are sabotaging my career for 8 years, why do you want me to smile with you? What respect do
What's
you?
funny?
What's funny? What respect do you want
I mean,
me to give to you for
there's always
sabotaging
going
me
to
for
be
it?
a breaking point. How much
that's
more
fine.
you can take. So
I mean-
I think she has taken enough. I don't care if it's Iran that is coming. I've seen opinions like, okay, why Turkey? Why not a better country? Why just switch? I mean, that's the
no one's
opportunity
coming.
placed in front of her. Some people say it's money motivated. Yes, we know there's a sign-on bonus and stuff, but I mean,
500,000.
she's doing it for her career, to push her career as well. She's
I don't even
taking
know why
enough of
anyone
what
would
she's
even
taking.
go against Favour. To be honest, I would think about it
There are
and
people
see.
on Twitter, and that's the
I
very
don't know
annoying
how
part.
people
that's-
think.
that's why I'm
And
asking the
I
question.
don't know how people
Administrators,
think.
this is what these administrators keep leveraging on, because they know that there are some Nigerians that
Are these people
eventually
being paid?
still going to say things.
No, because I need to think about
she's
it.
a coward. I saw
I saw it.
Idiot say he's a
I saw
coward.
it. I saw it.
He's
And
your
that
mutual.
was why.
He's your mutual.
It's not my
He's a
mutual,
coward.
please.
But somebody was saying, a colleague was tweeting and saying that this is when Nigeria should be getting ROI.
ROI.
And I'm like, ROI on what? If you sabotage me,
8
what-
years.
if I succeed, you are still the one that's going to get all of the ROI. So why are you sabotaging me for 8 years? Are you the one that's helping me put all of my distance? What should LSU say if the NFN is asking for ROI on Favour Ofili? Do you understand? So this character assassination is the very annoying thing. They've done it to Favour. They've done it to probably Leon Balogun at a point in the Super Eagles. They've done it to AJ Gold, like you said. They've done it in the Super Falcons. And I feel like this is also why these administrators continue to thrive, because there are some people that's going to lap up this rubbish
Nonsense.
insinuations. Do you understand? And this is also they also leverage on the fact that we are just naturally resilient people, like we said in the last show.
Yeah.
That because people will continue to be hungry, they know that you want to find a way out, and then they now come and take all of the glory. Very rubbish thing, to be honest.
Talking about taking all the glory, well, it's time for Nigeria to take her 10th glory, which is what we are trying to leverage on Mission X, and that we are switching back to football because the WAF.
Calf and NFL. Let me not go there.
Well, if you don't understand
Let's stick
what
with the mission. Let's
if you don't understand what he was saying, Nigeria has 9 titles officially as African champions in women's football, and then on Saturday, CAF. Actually, it was even funny because I had to tweet and say they should stay one place. When they were doing the preview of the teams, group by group, on Tuesday they tweeted and said that Nigeria 9 titles, Kinikon with the rest of the girls, the rest of the teams in that group, in Group B. Only for Saturday to come, and then someone, I don't know who took over the accounts and tweeted 11-time champion Kinikon. And before you know it, because people started asking that, Azar, where did we get the other two? People said you are always saying that it's 9, and then they had to delete the tweet.
And then also because Super Falcons is also running a campaign.
He's always
for
running a
Mission
campaign
X.
for Mission X, which means X in Roman numeral is 10. So that's why we are saying Mission X. Mission X is the Super Falcons are looking to win their 10th African crown as they head to Morocco between the 5th of July and the 25th of July. I'm saying between because I'm hoping they get to the finals. That's when the final will be played, 25th of July. Although I'm saying so.
I don't think we've ever had an edition where we didn't make the semi-finals.
Yeah, we
We've
always
yeah.
I mean, that's why it looks like a bet, right? But talking about Super Falcons, the list for Mission X, which is happening in Morocco next year, is out, and then
another fire and thunder.
and there was another
That's
fire and thunder for this particular one because of certain omissions. And I was talking to the guys who are the shock omissions for them, who they think should have made the list, and who are the names that they believe that these names did not deserve to be on that list. And yes, I think that was on Friday. Was it Friday we got the list? Friday or Thursday?
Yeah, it was released over the weekend.
Over the weekend, yes. And that's how we have players. I'm going to give you some of the names that we're going to, or that are going to represent Nigeria in Morocco next year. And the squad list, we have goalkeeper Chiamaka Dioze, who is currently without the club because she left Paris FC at the end of last season. and she'll be going to a new club at the start of next season, which is not yet confirmed yet. She's a free agent currently. We have to Chukwu Oluweyi, and we have Richard Unachuku, who plays for Nasara Amazons. We have for defenders, we have Osinachi Ohali, Shukurat Oladipo, Michelle Alozie, Ashley Plumpton make a returns to the team. Sikiratsu Isa, Oluwatosin Demei, Miracle Useni, who is one of the players, and Popped is on that squad. I'll tell you why later when the guys are done with their own opinions. We also have in midfield Rashidat Ajibade, who is captain of the side, Alimatu Ainde, Deborah Abiodun, Jennifer Echedini. We have Tony Payne. The other Payne sister didn't make the list, by the way. Nicole Payne, Christy Uchebe. And therefore forwards, we have Francisca Odega, we have Chiwendu Zeu, we have Ifoma Onumonu, we have Esther Okoronkwo, Omo Risola Babajide, we have Folashade Ijamlusi, we have Chioma Okafor, who is maybe the surprise face of this particular list for everybody, and of course 6-time player of the year, CAF player of the year, Azizat Agbagbola, Azizat Oshwala. Those are the names on the list. Now guys, let me start from Mikolo. Who is the surprise name for you on that list, and who do you think should have made the list that you now see on that list?
I think there's only one notable omission, and that's why there's a lot of fuss on social media, and that's Monday Gifts. And then it's criminal with what she's done with the Super Falcons, with what arise to fame in Nigeria. She's played through the NWFL. She's played some
on the 17, on the 20,
played all of this, gave her all,
and then
to the Super
so
Falcons.
A lot of people is actually about her form this season, because she's currently playing at the NWSL, that's in the USA, and she has been on terrific form, and she's missing in that one. So who is the person that is surprising on that list for you?
I feel like we all know that is Okafor Chioma, and you know, and the thing about Nigeria is I feel like there's an insane level of gaslighting that happens in our sports. Do you understand? Where people feel like, I wish there was a press conference like the Brazilian national team or some of this, where you can explain some of your choices.
Everybody
because
does it now. England does what they do.
England also do, Thomas Tuchel and all of that. Because I want to understand. The fact is that we are not going to get an answer, and that's very annoying. That's also what we've been speaking about, you know, about Favour. The fact that there's no explanation as to why Monday Gift is missing, and then there's an Okafor Chioma.
Because she came out to say there was rumors that maybe she was injured, and then she came out immediately that day to clear the and say she's not injured.
And the very funny thing is that Okafor Chioma has never gotten a call up to the Super Falcons.
And you're going to your first call up is
your first call up
to major
tournament.
So this, you can't even defend this kind of things. When people say, "Oh, Nigerian football and all of that," sometimes you always move to say, "Oh, okay, it's our sport." But you yourself as a journalist, you cannot think. It is not logical. The fact that you are inviting you, and the first time you are getting invited, and then you are getting, even if you don't want to take Monday Gifts, there are lots of people. There's Bolaji that finished as the top scorer in the NWFL. There's like so many other players.
There's NMSCN who was also part of the team that played in Abeokuta also.
Yes. There's so many people that you could have taken there, and then you now eventually chose somebody that has never gotten a call up, and then after that there's no explanation, there's nothing. Just to accept it just like that. And I feel like it's unfair on Monday Gifts. I feel like she's been feeling really bad. I've seen her come up with a statement to still pledge her support, and I know that's coming from her team, and probably, but she'll definitely be hurting inside, because there's also new names on the team. There's Jamilusi Folashade, you know, who met Monday Gifts in the national team. Jamilusi also is currently playing in the East. You understand? She's playing in Asia currently, and then there's Monday Gift playing in the NWSL. So these are some of the things that you need to take into consideration, even if you want to make an addition. It has to be very logical. You cannot, I don't think it has ever happened in the history of football. I want to make research, and maybe somebody proves me wrong, why somebody gets an invite to the national team for the first time, and it is a national team is a major tournament. So now that's basically it for me.
Yeah, so a lot of people are actually arguing the fact that they've never heard of this lady before. But in case you don't know, she is a Nigerian born She's a Malawian-born Nigerian. She was born and brought up in Malawi. So that's why many people might have not heard of her. So she never played in maybe the NWFL like maybe I used to, because I used to many girls in the national team growing from the ranks to play in the Super Falcons.
Even if it's not abroad, that, it is probably the NWSL, the American people, the likes of Alozie, the likes of Payne, and all of that. At least we get to see them coming from.
Understand? So there's no like a clear trajectory to where this whole connection comes from, and that's questions that a lot of people are asking. But talking about that's the list, and
there are some conspiracy theories. So allegedly, so I'm not be using the word allegedly. No, it's not about being fair. I just always want to put out things I'm sure of. So, but then this one I'm not sure. But I'm also I heard somewhere, I read somewhere that they are trying to tie her down, because of how much talent that she has, and then it's been like a battle between Malawi and Nigeria, tying down that level of talent. But
why did they use the Abeokuta game to do that?
That's the question. The question also is that why take this long to make an invite to her and even let people see her, get people introduced to her? Why wait until a major tournament before you do that? What has taken you this long to be able to do that? And then when people make suggestions about how people get to the national team list, if they bring out this example, I don't think there's a defense for this. When people make insinuations about bribery and all of this, and some of the shady things that goes into dropping lists for national for major tournaments, I don't think there's a coming back from this. There's nothing you can say that logically makes sense as a forward-thinking person as to why she's going to make that list ahead of Monday Gift. And then it's just really sad that this is what we are going into the tournament with. Hopefully they can repay us with winning in Morocco, because there's always...
Are you sure? Have you given them enough? And that's what we are going to... That's the next question I'll be asking.
We've not given them enough, I know. You understand? That's why I say we always rely on individual quality, individual brilliance and all of that. But if they can, maybe.
Well, the girls are going to be playing later on today against Portugal, a friendly game. They are camping in Lisbon, and that is where they'll camp, and from there they'll be going to Morocco. I mean, that usual thing that we get to do with our national teams when they're not the Super Eagles. You get to camp them in Austria, Lisbon, UK for like a week, and then you carry them to a major tournament and expect them to perform wonders. Well, that's what we are doing again this time around.
I think Portugal is close to Morocco though.
Well, I'm just saying that when we had to host them in Nigeria, it was a whole lot of battle. Ended up playing just one game instead of two. And we expect that with that, and then with the the Portuguese games that you're going to be playing, the friendly they'll be playing there, that will be enough to prepare them for Mission X. Well, they're playing today against the Portuguese ladies, and that will be one of the preparatory games against that tournament coming up in Morocco. Now, truthfully, guys, this one is not hope or anything. Do you think that we have it to win? We have it in us to win number 10. Let me start from Sebastian.
I mean, it's possible. We have it enough to win it. I don't know how much pressure the team is under to claim this mission, claim this Mission X. We were talking about the list earlier. My issue with the list is, I know experience is important, but I think we have too much of do I say too much of an experience, too much old heads in that selected 11. Dega, Osinachi Ohale, Aziza Oshola, Tochukwu Olehi, the goalkeeper. We've not seen her for a while, but all of a sudden she makes the list for the tournament proper. No disregard to these girls, no credit to them what they've done, to these women rather. Credit to them what they've done over the years, but it is one too many. Because yes, we need the experience, but some of these players should be nowhere near that team, for this WAFCON tournament. So, just blocking the path of younger players who could have made the list for this tournament proper. We've talked a lot about Monday Gift. What she's done with Washington Spirit since he made that move to the NWSL in the United States. So she's done so well. So many back and forth, so many controversies when it comes to that list. But moving away from the list, the team is good enough to win this tournament. I'm happy for some of the call-ups that are in the list. Rinsola, Babajide. I think it's going to be our first major tournament. I've been following her for a long time, right from her days with Liverpool ladies. I had to bring Liverpool into the picture as well. But good to see her play our first major tournament as well. So overall good team, but too many old guards in the team, and it might just be to our disadvantage. But a lot of exciting women's team to look forward to. Morocco are always going to be favorites. Defending champions are there, South Africa as well. So it's going to be tough, but I think we have what it takes to claim that 10th title.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about favorites, Morocco were finalists in the last edition, and this time around they are hosting. We have South Africa who won their very first, the last time out, and that particular one will be there. We have Zambia who are currently with the current reigning CAF player of the year in the women's category. I'm talking about Barbara Banda is also in the mix. Different teams. I mean, everybody's coming prepared and hot, which is one of the reasons why I'm actually very scared going into Mission Expo. I mean, it's somewhat our bet, right? And going with certain players that are used to winning it, have won it multiple times, maybe that will be the edge for us in that tournament. Let's quickly move away from there and quickly get predictions for the guys from the President Federation Cup final that will coming up later on this weekend. We have Abakaliki FC versus Kwara. You could lose that fit. Versus Kwara United. Let's start with you. Your prediction for that final. It's happening in Lagos, by the way, so you want to come watch, you can come to Unicon to come watch it on Saturday. Your prediction, Timothy?
I want to follow the pattern of what Abakaliki have done. They've knocked out big names to get to this stage. I think they're relegated from the NNL already.
Yes.
But I mean, their cup run has not been defined by what they've been doing in the league stage. So I'll just go with them. Like they've started, let them just complete it. Okay. Even though it's not the winner I would want, but I'm just saying based on what I want to predict, I think they would shock Kwara United.
Okay, Mikolo?
I've watched Abakaliki 3 times this season, and I can tell you they play one of the worst football that you can watch. You know, they are serial time wasters. But let's hope that that's not their cup run, because it can also be because it's the final, and you know they're playing against a much stronger and bigger team. If you watch the way they've come into this final, it's not been by their gameplay, because to be honest, they are one of the worst teams. Like I said, watch them in Lagos. They wasted 70 of 90 minutes trying to get a point in Lagos. I've watched them in the semi-finals against Ikorodu City as well. Same tactics.
They went into penalties.
Trying to get into penalties because their keeper is pretty impressive. But the game style, gameplay, I feel like it's going to be one of the most boring finals that we're going to see. Hopefully it's not. For Kwara United, I feel probably experience will show. I want Kwara to nip this. Maybe it's sentimental on my part because Abakaliki has shown me it's not only Ikorodu City. They're frustrated. I know what I saw in Lagos. To be honest, that's like one of the. There's a compilation from Modo on YouTube where Modo has almost 30 minutes of them wasting time in the game against Sporting Lagos in at the Unicon Stadium. I'm not capping you guys. I feel like the ball was more out of play, attending to injuries, fake injuries, and wasting time than it was in play. That was an eyesore of a game. So congratulations again for getting to the final. But also you also have to look at it. Do you want Abakaliki representing us in the CAF Confederation Cup?
I actually don't want, but when she asks what I feel,
I would rather Kwara wins, and they've been to the continent before, probably represent us, than having somebody that just relegated to the NLO or something. Imagine where have you seen their pitch? We're also battling coefficients. You guys know battling coefficients. So if there's a team that can at least try to preserve our coefficient, we should be taking our best legs to the continent right now, not Abakaliki.
And for my thought, that's where I'm going to pick it from. I mean, it's going to be weird seeing a third division team representing us on the continent. So I mean, no.
We don't jump from the first time. That one is true.
Because I mean, talking about going out from the first, even our top tier teams are failing to make it out of the first.
Talk more.
Preliminary round. Only 2 slots we go get for continent.
You get so, but in as much as we
I
love,
won't go play Club World Cup.
in as much as we love an underdog story, but I mean, I have to give it to Kwara United because my favorite, they knocked them out, Rangers International, also in Lagos. So and Kwara United are already in Lagos preparing for this final, so trying to, you know, familiarize with the environment and all that. So it tells you that they want to get this one, and it's not the first time they'll be on the continent. I think
they were there 2 seasons ago.
You know, the last time they played on the continent, they also played.
And then they played in Unicon. Unicon was their adopted stadium.
On paper, they are looking like the favorite. I would be surprised if Abakaliki FC go on to make it. That was how we were surprised last season. We all thought Abia Warriors were going to defeat Academy Warriors in Lagos in the same Federation Cup final, but in the end of the day,
I remember that final as well. With jerseys flying everywhere
and all that. So,
jerseys and
it's going to be all Kwara United. I mean, the last time they made it to the continent was through the back door. At this time, the IT Cup, then it was still in the quarterfinal stage, and there was a deadline for CAF to submit teams that will represent Nigeria on the continent. Kwara United finished 4th. They had to be submitted to CAF to compete on the continent. But this time, hopefully, they get to win it. I mean, I don't want to see Abakaliki in the continent next season.
All right, that final is on Saturday, like I mentioned earlier on. And talking about our coefficients and wanting to play in the Club World Cup, that's where we'll take our final conversation to today. The Club World Cup is still in motion, and we've seen games. Last week we talked about the whole financial angle, and now I promised you guys this week we're going to, because we have seen a lot of games. Timothy told us he had seen 9 games from the first round, 7 games from the second round. That's the amount of games. That's not the number, but you can see how much games have gone down in the Club World Cup.
32 games so far, 16 I've seen.
So
damn, that's
so yes, that's where we're going to be coming from. And now I'll come to Timothy, since he's the one that has seen the most games from all of us. I mean, I like it's actually really impressive, because the time that I come back from all my waka inside People's Lagos like this, now sleep, I don't know. I just pick selected games to watch.
Why do you keep saying People's Lagos?
People's Lagos now.
You spend like considerable amount of time in Lagos.
Always rubbing it off.
Okay, now I understand. She's trying to avoid tax. The thing is that she makes majority of her money in Lagos, but when it's time to share in the body,
It's you People's Lagos.
But when it's time to make money,
you are stressing me now. That's why it has to be your Lagos. Anyways, Timothy, which of these games have you seen that really impressed you? Also look at it from the African point of view. We've seen Wydad, we've seen Sundowns. Which of these games have really impressed you from the African point of view? Let me put it to you.
So many games, but from the African point of view, I think Mamelodi Sundowns against Borussia Dortmund, and they were very good. From their first game against the Ulsan Hyundai FC, I think they were very decent. I mean, I was watching the game, and it's not a Nigerian team, but of course the part of watching an African team, and I felt that they could have scored so many goals, but they scored one, they won the game. And aside the goal they scored, you could see the way they played the football, the way they moved the ball from defense to attack, the transition, getting into the final third. The only place they missed was converting chances. I think that was what also affected them against Borussia Dortmund. Started the game very well, got the first goal. That's what you want when you're playing against a big team like Dortmund from Germany, and they got the goal, and you expect that they'll take it up from there, but I don't know, suddenly they relaxed and Dortmund took it over from there, and then suddenly they fell apart. But I mean, the fighting spirit, they came back, they tried to come back into the game, scored the second, scored the third, and of course I think personally for me, I did not expect that they were going to lose against Dortmund, because Dortmund also is not a team I really put on that high pedestal based on their form from last season and all they've been doing in recent games. But of course, you expect that in terms of ranking, Dortmund is still better. But I think that's the best game I've seen in terms of an African perspective. And I also
better than the one between Al Ahly and Inter Miami, or because Miami was very bad.
Because it was a goalless game, I would not want to put it in terms of. I know, football is about goals, but of course there's still the fun. But I mean, it was a goalless affair. So, and then Trezeguet missed a penalty. I mean, it was not really in the best of this thing for me, but I think I'll put it in that place. And then Wydad also lost to Manchester City, but I still feel like the way they played and their fans, I mean, even yesterday when they lost, they scored just one goal, and you saw the stadium being flared up with whatever they usually celebrate with. So for Africa, it's sad that Wydad, I think Wydad is out. There's still a case for Al Ahly, Esperance and Mamelodi Sundowns, but it's not looking likely for Al Ahly, because between Inter Miami and Palmeiras, Inter Miami and the other team,
Porto.
Not Porto. Inter Miami beats Porto. The other team, Palmeiras. Then you just need a draw between them to qualify. So I don't think Al Ahly can even get past Porto, although Inter Miami defeated them. But if they get past Porto, they have to hope that something, one way or the other, favors them. So it's not really looking likely. But there's a case for Esperance and Mamelodi. So
I want to ask you guys something. Looking at what we've seen from the likes of Wydad, Sundowns, Esperance, and Al Ahly on the continent, how far off do you think we are when it concerns football? Because if you're following conversations on the group chat, when I think it was Wydad that was playing against Manchester City, and then you could see that people were saying about their style of play, how they were playing. Forget about the loss and all of that. How far off do you guys think our Nigerian teams? Let's talk about our champions, the last couple of champions that are the likes of Remo Stars, the likes of Rangers, Eimba, and all of that. How far off do you think we are when it concerns?
Because of our time, let me be the only one to answer. Otilo, far. I mean, far. Let's not
go there. Our ground.
I mean, it's really far.
I think this tournament has been like the
I think
constant.
we should preserve this for another.
This
episode.
tournament has been like.
I mean, by the time we
This
come
is
for the
a
next
wake-up call, to be
episode, we'll
honest.
be able to dissect
Really a wake-up
all of
call.
that.
This one was really obvious. This
Yes,
is what
but I
was very
mean,
obvious.
talking about Sundowns, something happened in one of their games that I just want us to quickly talk about. The 8 seconds rule was first used against
Ron
Williams, and that is something that I've seen that even the referee federation in Nigeria are already trying to adopt it. They have sent a letter.
So that one they
to
could
the
know now. Anything that gives them power, they'll be there.
No,
Anyways, guys.
it is much needed because
Yeah.
I mean, in the MPFA we have a lot of goalkeepers.
Time wasting. So you
Abakaliki
think
will be
that
affected. If you start on Saturday,
they
please.
started on the
Start
right
the
now.
Federation
So
Cup.
that's how to get
we need
it.
that
Start
in the
it.
MPFA,
We did it in the
actually, yeah.
MPFA, right? So we should start it on Saturday.
Yes,
Hopefully.
ma'am.
We should.
Okay, okay, guys. Before we leave, I want to get with what you've seen. Predictions: who wins? Club or club?
Joy, you're setting me up
Yes,
because
now, just-
honestly, it's difficult.
Club is
So no, it's not even about my club is there, but it's very difficult right now. We saw PSG, who I would say the way they played, they lost to Botafogo, Manchester City. They've not really played. I mean, they've not really played a top tier team, maybe from South America. They played Alain, they beat Wydad, and Wydad was a tough game, but I just felt Wydad slept off. That was why, I mean, see the set piece they considered and the first goal. That was why they could not get something in that game against Manchester City. And for PSG, I don't know, but it's still difficult to say, okay, this is one thing. But if I'm still going to pick, you're putting me on the spot, I'll still go with PSG because I know they'll get into the next stage. And when it begins to get to, if they play, they'll play the winner, they'll play who tops the group. They'll play the second team, or if they top, they'll play either Palmeiras or Inter Miami, and I don't expect any of those teams to disturb them. So from that part, you expect it to be easy for them. I feel like they would be the winners. Or if I'm going to pick a second team, maybe Manchester City.
Okay, because
and
yesterday,
then for fanship's sake, Inter Milan, of course.
Okay, yesterday, Real Madrid picked up an early red card, went on to win. Do you think they also stand a chance to win?
Yes,
and
they
then
do.
you tell me who you think
that was supposed to be my answer, my wild card. So
Okay.
obviously the best team in Europe,
No.
the best team in Europe is Paris Saint-Germain. So if
Yeah.
it's not Paris Saint-Germain, I feel like at this point Madrid also know how to turn things up. I don't take it away from them, to be
Okay.
honest. I won't take it away from them to produce moments of magic and go on to win.
I know money.
Okay, and,
The
Uh,
only thing that might work against them is the fact that they have a new coach at the helm of affairs.
No,
So,
for me, it's always, I mean, Real Madrid or Man City, but I'll stick with Real Madrid. If it was a regular Club World Cup format, I would have said PSG easily, but this
because
is a
they'll
new format.
get in from the
Yeah,
semi-final
so this is a new
stage.
format, it's more lengthy, more teams. So Real
Vinicius
Madrid
is getting back to himself.
And he's playing in the Americans. He doesn't do well on the Americans. Actually,
Shout
so,
out to Felipe Luis though. Well, but for one thing, for interesting part for me from the Club World Cup is seeing blast from the past. The players of like Salomon Rondon who played at Everton.
yeah.
Thiago Silva, Sergio Ramos scored for Monterrey.
We saw
Jorginho, Chelsea.
We saw his name now. Giroud. We also saw Giroud also.
Yeah. And Lionel Messi, of course, the greatest of all time. So
Yeah.
I mean, see the free kick.
Playing in that Burgers League. That's the
But I
worst-
mean, you
that's
can't.
the
The
worst
free
league.
kick, as in something. When he
That's
played,
the very funny thing that
Joy, let me say something.
vexing
No,
me.
let me say
Yeah, you
something.
talk your house.
When he
That was
played,
free kick.
when he played the first one, that one was distant, and I said, Messi, this is not where you want it. Then the second one came, and honestly, on a group I said, this one I'll go. I put
too, I
the
said
screenshot
Do
there.
you think that
No,
goalkeeper?
I mean,
do you think that goalkeeper
no,
was
something-
actually?
I said
No,
that
no,
ago.
the thing about Messi
very
sometimes
annoying
is always looking like it's scripted, but it is just the way it is. I
But
mean,
that
you
free
knew
kick,
that
sir.
Messi is a
No,
good
it's a
free kick
good-
taker now from
It's
that
not about the
position.
goalkeeper, it was a good free kick.
Yeah, like
Anyway, Sha, what me I want to say is that people, a lot
Yeah,
of
they
people
did not play
watch.
well, we
No,
know.
a
We
lot
know
of
they
people
did
did
not
not watch
play
the game. They didn't even watch Messi in that game. Because
But of course
how
now,
present
no,
I
my
was in the
agenda.
watch. I saw the game and bro, shot 2. They were playing shot 2. Messi and Suarez nowhere to be found in that game.
Suarez.
No, Messi was
Suarez
decent
scored.
actually.
Messi
Messi was
was that free
decent.
kick point, and then when they turned, and it was Porto's fault, to be honest. So Porto scored first, and they had every chance to get the second goal in the first half. And then I was telling my guy that second half they might turn things around. And I also like the fact that Inter Miami are also playing to Messi's strength these days. You know, he doesn't do a lot of running. If they are going on the counter, he stays back. If he's going on the counter, he just release the ball and try to pick out the
and
very
you see the
fine
pass he gave
pass.
Luis Suarez, like,
Yeah, so that's really, but the whole, because it's called a free kick, so everybody just woke up the next morning. Greatest of all time. Yeah.
But John, let me ask you something. Why have we always called these people? Is it not because of defining moments? That's a defining
I
moment.
also want to tell you that.
They could have.
At 37, Ronaldo was better than this, but he didn't get all of these accolades. And he got
Why did Ronaldo fans not hype him?
He got more sticks. Ronaldo was getting into the team of of the season. Yes, now that was his first season in Manchester United, and that was when they were saying he was limiting Manchester United and all of those things. Look at what Messi is doing with Inter Miami. That is like the worst version of Messi I've watched in my life, to be honest. And he's still getting good shots. Which free kick is it? That's the problem now. You woke up the next day and saw free kick.
No, I watched the game now. Emmanuel knows I watched the game.
They allow these people to
in this tournament, yeah.
I watched the game. The goal was a penalty. Samu.
Wait, I want to tell you something. In this tournament, if they check most dispossessed player, I feel like Messi will be top 5. Let's wrap up with that.
He has dropped another banger, guys, and that's where I'm going to be dropping the curtains today on the show. Had so much fun, and we sure we'll bring this another week for you next week Monday. So make it a date with us next week Monday. And if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. Share this with your friends.
Shout out to all our subscribers, though.
Shout out to you guys. I'm always seeing all the things you cook up in the comments. We are seeing it too, and that's why we are bringing some of those things on the show with us. Thank you so much to everybody. It was so much having these conversations with you guys. See you guys on Monday again, and see you guys by the time I collected salary. See you guys next week. Bye.
We don't collect salary by next month.